Welcome to the Humanities Explained. I'm Daniel Sanchez, administrator of the Mises Academy at academy.mises.org. I'll be reading from The Story of Civilization, Volume 1, Our Oriental Heritage by Will Durant. Chapter 1, The Conditions of Civilization. Civilization is social order promoting cultural creation. Social order means people living together according to rules. Cultural creation can include art, literature, science, lifestyle. Four elements constitute it. So four things make up civilization. Economic provision. This includes anything that is produced for use. The clothes on your back, the food on your table, the video game in your the Game Boy in your hand. Political organization. So that can include courts, that can include governments, that can include the president or a king or a parliament or a congress. Moral traditions, so what people think are right and wrong, and the pursuit of knowledge and the arts. It begins where chaos and insecurity end. So if you're living in chaos where nobody's working together, you can't have civilization that way. And if you're living in insecurity where you're always thinking that the next guy over is going to stab you, you can't really have much of a civilization in that case either. For when fear is overcome, curiosity and constructiveness are free. You can't be too inquisitive. You can't be going around doing experiments or building cathedrals if you're just cowering in the corner, shivering with fear. Okay? And man passes by natural impulse towards the understanding and embellishment of life. So understanding the world around you and people around you, and embellishment is making life nicer, not just having a bare subsistence, meaning not just having a life where you're just barely getting by, but you have some nice things in your life. Certain factors condition civilization and may encourage or impede it. That means that certain causes make civilization the way it is and might make it grow and progress, or it might make it stop or collapse even. First, geological conditions. Civilization is an interlude between ice ages. So geological conditions meaning the weather, the climate, whether there's a volcano erupting under your feet, or whether there's an iceberg outside uh, your backyard. It's kind of hard to have much of a civilization if lava is flowing everywhere or everything's frozen. At any time, the current of glaciation may rise again, cover with ice and stone the works of man, and reduce life to some narrow segment of the earth. Or the demon of earthquake, by whose leave we build our cities, may shrug his shoulders and consume us indifferently. So that means that earthquakes don't care about us. They don't care about, you know, what we've built, the beautiful cities we have, or the beautiful homes we have, or the beautiful cathedrals we've built. Earthquakes happen when they happen. And if you're sitting on a fault line when that happens, then it's just going to, like he says, shrug its shoulders and consume civilization indifferently. That means without regard to what we want. Second, geographical conditions. The heat of the tropics and the innumerable parasites that infest them are hostile to civilization. So first he was talking about the way the earth is in general, whether it's in an ice age or whether there's comets falling on the ground or something, or whether there's, volcanoes everywhere on Earth. But then there's where you choose to live on the Earth. That also matters. So in the middle of the Earth, at the equator, it's super hot, and there's lots of bugs there, and so and it's really easy to get sick. So you can't really have much of a civilization there. Lethargy, that means laziness, and disease, and a precocious maturity and decay. So precocious means that something kind of grows up too fast. And so when things uh, um, mature, it's like a banana that goes ripe. So if a banana goes ripe precociously, that means that it gets ripe really fast, and then it gets rotten really fast too. So he's saying that at the equator, things get rotten really quickly. So it's kind of hard to eat when your food's getting rotten all the time. Okay? Divert the energies from those essentials of life that make civilization and absorb them in hunger and reproduction. So in those kind of situations where it's really hard to um, to just stay alive and just to stay eating, of course you're not going to have very much time to focus on other things like fine art or beautiful music or um, different kinds of lifestyle. You just got to focus on getting food and not getting eaten by a jaguar. Nothing is left for the play of the arts and the mind. Rain is necessary. So you got to have rain, for water is the medium of life, more important even than the light of the sun. The unintelligible whim, it means the unintelligible means that you can't really understand it. You can't really read it. Whim of the elements. So the elements are like the weather, and so you can't really understand the the weather. You can't like think about what the weather wants or what it's trying to do. It's just you can't understand it. It just does what it does. May condemn to desiccation. Desiccation means drying up. Regions that once flourished with empire and industry, like Nineveh and Babylon. So there could be these great cities that were world empires, but then the weather just kind of changes and it's like they never existed because they're just ruined. Or it may help to swift strength and wealth, cities apparently off the main line of transport and communication, like those of Great Britain or Puget Sound. Okay, so like Great Britain is kind of far away from the Mediterranean Sea. So let's look for the Mediterranean Sea on Google Maps. So if we look for Italy, we'll see it. Okay, there's the Mediterranean Sea, and we're going to zoom out. And the Mediterranean Sea is kind of where all the trade used to happen. And Great Britain's kind of far away from that. But at some point, Great Britain, even though it was far away from the Mediterranean, it became a really big important part of the world of trade. And that's really not so much about the weather, though. It was kind of about exploration, because people uh, didn't have to stick to the Mediterranean anymore because they were able to cross the Atlantic and go over to America and North America and South America. If the soil is fertile in food or minerals, if that means if the soil you can grow food really easily on it, or if there's lots of gold and silver and rubies and iron and copper and useful stuff that you can get out of the ground. If rivers offer an easy avenue of exchange, that means that if you could just have a river really close to where you live and you can take the river down to go trade with people. If the coastline is indented with natural harbors for a commercial fleet, so harbors are so for example, in the Mediterranean, especially like in Greece, there's all sorts of little bumpities. So let's zoom in. And so there's lots of natural harbors there because all these little bumps are great places to park your boat and not and be kind of safe from the weather. And so that really helps to have civilization. If above all a nation lies on the high roads of the world's trade, like Athens or Carthage, so Athens is here in Greece, and Athens is right here where it says Athena, right here, that's Athens, or Carthage, let's zoom out, and Carthage was here where Tunisia is now, a city on the coast right here. Florence or Venice. So Florence was kind of in is kind of in North Italy, around here somewhere. Where is it? It should be visible from here. Florence. I'm not finding it. And Venice, that's easy to find. It's right there. So like I said, the Mediterranean was really important for trade. So these cities, Athens, Carthage, Florence, Venice, they were really close to the avenues of world trade. And so they got rich because of that, and their civilizations flourished for a time. Then geography, though it can never create it, smiles upon civilization and nourishes it. Thank you, and we will continue on the next video.